My body is a temple, and I demand tax exemption status. Hey kids, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Uncle Frank, and that you are having a great day. And in today's video, I wanted to sit back, relax, and, well, have a little chat with you guys about an out-of-print card game. And one of the earliest ones, in fact. You see, way back in the day, a company that you guys might be familiar with, Decipher, they released the Star Wars customizable card game back in 1995, if I recall correctly. And this was the earliest Star Wars card game, or at least I think it was the earliest Star Wars card game. Correct me if I'm wrong, because as you guys may or may not know, I'm wrong a lot when it comes to specific dates and what came first. So, the Star Wars customizable card game being a Star Wars IP, and this being in the 90s when Star Wars was near the height of its cultural popularity and power, it sold really well. In fact, for several years, it was one of the best-selling card games on the market. In fact, in 1997, I think it was second best only to Magic the Gathering in terms of raw sales, which is really impressive. But this video is not about the customizable card game. Instead, it's about its younger brother, or perhaps its junior variant, the Young Jedi card game, which was released in 1999. And rather than focusing on the classic Star Wars original trilogy, which the customizable card game had kind of built itself around, Young Jedi instead was, in case you can't tell by the wrappings, with the little Obi-Wan Kenobi on one side and Darth Maul on the other. This game was based on the prequel trilogy, or at least it was formed essentially around the prequel trilogy. And unlike the collectible customizable card game, which was advertised to an older audience, especially on account of the Star Wars nostalgia it was feeding into, Young Jedi was, as the name might suggest, aimed towards a younger demographic. Decipher wanted to grip the Pokemon crowd, and I'm not even joking. Decipher created this card game in part to try and get younger card game players who have been playing Pokemon at the time to be interested in Star Wars card games, and to maybe even transition them from Pokemon to Young Jedi to the Star Wars customizable card game. Now, this card game is fairly simple. It's a simpler card game than the customizable card game, but it's not a bad card game. And in a follow-up video, if you guys want me to do a follow-up video, I will go over the rules. But in essence, there's a very strict deck building rule where you can only have so many copies of a given color of card in your deck, and the actual gameplay is simple to grasp, easy to get into. And I don't want to go over the rules here because I know that I'll flub something. I just know I will. But I do remember the win conditions are very easy to explain. It's simple. You can either A, run your opponent out of cards completely, deplete their deck, as in many card games, or you can control all the planets. All three planets. There's only three planets you're fighting over: Tatooine, Coruscant, and Naboo, the planets that were showcased in the Phantom Menace film. Phantom Menace was really out in 1999. It's insane to me that those films are that old. Jeez. Anyway, some things to note for this card game. The one thing that I will hold against it is the same thing that I will hold against all Decipher TCGs, in that there is no original art for the game. All the card art is screenshots or character pictures taken from either screenshots from the movie or like official press material. Let's see, I've got some cards over here. Let's find a good example. So, like, as you can see, it's just actual screenshots from the movie, including this really angry-looking Anakin. Do we have an example of Ah, my favorite Star Wars character. Bane Quadinaros. That's a face. You might have noticed that the cards have 2 different color card backs. I will not be getting into that today. It's just part of the core gameplay design. But yeah, relatively simple card game with relatively simple rules. And I want to say, for what it was pretty successful. While the customizable card game was, I think, still better in terms of overall sales, Young Jedi did good enough to get 7 expansions and ran until Decipher lost the Star Wars license to Hasbro? Wizards of the Coast. They lost it to Wizards of the Coast, which was owned by Hasbro at the time. It was 2001, I believe. Either way, Young Jedi was selling well enough to continue up until Decipher lost access to the IP, which is really good, all things considered. Yeah, it was only 2 years, and I know the whole deadly 2-year TCG wall came into play there, but this was a rare exception, I think, where the game really didn't deserve to die at that point. And I know that I'm not the only one who thinks that way, because the game, it was good enough and still is good enough for people to continue to want to play it. And part of the reason this video is happening now is because I did finally manage to get a sealed starter deck. This belongs to my wall, and this is great. I'm not actually going to open this. I just really like it. I finally got that, so now I felt the energy, the motivation to talk about the card game for a bit. But I've wanted to talk about this for a while because back in 2020, there was a gaming convention, the name of which I am now forgetting, which is really unfortunate for this video. I will mention it in a follow-up video if you guys want me to cover it. But there's fans that have been holding tournaments for this regularly since 2022. Major tournaments at conventions. And it's been happening for the last 3 years or so. I'm not sure if a major tournament is planned for 2025, but I'm confident that there is. But I just want to say that, Young Jedi, even more so than the customizable card game. I know I said a collectible more than a few times, but its technical term is the customizable card game. But both are fairly well thought of in the Star Wars community as just enjoyable, solid card games of the past. And I gotta say, that reputation is well earned. I've played a few rounds of both. I've definitely played more Young Jedi because it's an easier game to get into, and more people around here have the cards. But yeah, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Decipher does do a really good job when it comes to the core gameplay design, the core rules design of their games. It's just that they've got a long library of games that, for one reason or another, just did not pan out that well for them. And licensing issues aside, it really is a shame that card games like Young Jedi, Don Hack, the Star Trek card game, and Mega Man just didn't pan out that well for the long term. Because, in case it wasn't obvious, if people are still willing to attend tournaments for a card game that's been out of print for over 20 years... Let me repeat that again. This card game has been out of print for over 20 years, and people are still willing to go to tournaments for it. Okay? That's the sign that it's a pretty freaking good card game. So, yeah. That's all I really wanted to say in this video. I just wanted to introduce this lovely little blast from the past. If you guys are interested in hearing more about this, maybe even a quick video going over the rules, let me know in the comments section, and I'll make a follow-up video to this one at some point in the near future. But yeah, I just... got a Tusken Raider card. Gotta pull some of this stuff out of my box. But yeah, it's a good card game. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like, share, and subscribe. And hit the bell notification, all that jazz. See you kids in the next one. I still have people commenting on the Star Wars Unlimited video that I made the first time around. And I've got to say, it's clear that the overall Star Wars fan base is very passionate about its card games. So that's something.